and welcome. My name is Amy if you're new here, and whether this is your first time or you've been here before, welcome. I'm so glad to have you here. I took a few moments and got quiet before I started recording this, and I wanted to tune in to see if I should talk about what I wanted to talk about or if there was something else that needed to be shared. I have been trying to go inward and kind of be led from that place more. I do this, but the last few weeks, especially as the world has been very loud, I have been more and more conscious of that. And so when I got quiet, the thing that came up for me was just talking about this very simple idea. Sometimes the most simple things are the things that are the easiest for us to kind of pass by. And this idea is that everything is rooted in either love or fear. If you can start being conscious of that, this is our decisions, this is our thoughts, our emotions, our feelings, our responses, our reactions, how we're interacting with people, everything. As I started becoming more conscious of this in my own life, it was extremely helpful for me to really start to kind of untangle limiting beliefs and blocks and mindsets that weren't serving me and get to the root of things, because I think we can kind of complicate things at times by trying to give every part of something so much meaning. Although this is super helpful sometimes, I think that for my experience and on this topic, if I could just start categorizing everything in love or fear, it helped me to become so much more conscious and of where I was at. Am I leaning more in fear, more in pessimism, or am I really showing up from a place of optimism and love? I also see this as like, fear is our ego. Love is our higher self. Abundance is our higher self. That is love. And scarcity comes from ego and fear. As we're trying to become more conscious of where our minds are at, where our thoughts are at, this has felt like such a simple but powerful way to actually start to really be able to get that awareness to then consciously shift in one way or the other if necessary. I'm also going to give you a little background of my week because I haven't been recording, which is unlike me. This last week was the first year anniversary of a very, very significant loss for me in my life. And so I wanted to do something that we would have done together, and I decided to update my staircase. And I am just going to give you a disclaimer right now. It is not done. I thought I would have this finished in a few days. I did take a couple days off of work to just be able to connect and really honor this sacred date in my life now. I thought that I would, in that time, spend some time quietly reflecting and also working on this project, knowing I would be connected to him. And as it turns out, my analysis paralysis or major indecision on this staircase, or perhaps just that it was a much bigger project than I thought it would be, ended up bringing me to the hardware store many times, definitely going over my budget for this project, and really just humbling myself with the fact that a staircase, and especially mine with like 4 different kinds of woods, certain areas that are painted, certain areas that aren't, the rails along the staircase, all of this was so much, you guys. So I started with black because I thought it would just look elegant. My home is almost 100 years old and I love to give a nod to the history of the home. And I was really thinking like Little Women vibes. I love the aesthetic of that, or Anne with an E. So I thought that black would be wonderful. I also really need to add a stair runner. That's part of the incentive of this. So I started with black, loved it at first until I painted more. Once everything was black except the top of the steps, which I kept the wood, I wasn't feeling it. So then after one of my inspo pictures, I went for a color that was more of a gray green. Although it's beautiful color, it's Pigeon by Farrow and Ball, that also did not give me the look that I was going for. It had too much of almost like a teal to it. Then I decided to go with a color I already have in my home because I painted something else with it, and it is called Agreeable Gray by Sherwin-Williams. And just a hack for all of you, because I am a big fan of money and budgeting as well, I always color match these to another brand of paint. I'm not buying, Farrow and Ball paints, at least not currently in my life. If you want to be able to color match, you can absolutely do that and still stay in your budget. And by the way, for those curious about this, the black that I chose is called Blackboard by Magnolia. So I went with the gray. Honestly, I love the gray color, and I love that I added black to the rail because it's almost like putting like an eyeliner on it or something, but I am still not sure about it. I need to say that when I start a project like this, I am the kind of person that it works on it until it's done, even if it means I'm repainting it like 4 or 5 times. But for the first time ever, I decided that I needed to spend time this weekend doing other things as well, and that I needed to just step away from it. That is very challenging for me, and I knew that I needed to just take a step back, focus on some other things for a little bit, focus on time with my family, and come back to this. So as of this recording, I have the gray and black on there. I love the colors, I love them together, but honestly, I'm just not necessarily going for that aesthetic. I think that a staircase project just happens to be so much bigger than I realized because of the detail and the amount of areas that can have a different color or material finish. And so I also have ordered another runner to test that out. More to come on this. I will keep you posted. Something else I haven't mentioned on here is one of my absolute favorite things to do in my downtime is home projects. And so this staircase is one of those examples. And honestly, like kind of bringing this into the topic I'm talking about today, love and fear, I could feel myself starting to get stressed about these stairs and this pressure I put on myself to have it finished, and the colors and how I want to feel when I look at it and how I want it to look with the rest of the space. I realized that when I start to go into those feelings, that's my sign that I need to pause, and that is not coming from a place of, let's just label it here, love. That's coming from a place of worry and fear. Not that that would necessarily be called fear, but the point is that like if it's coming from one or the other, it's coming from the fear box. I have worked very hard in my life to be more aware of myself when that happens, because I can really start to like, my mind can get stressed, almost like it spins a little bit and then gets more worried. Not about paint colors, but just things. I'm gonna keep attracting more of that. In this instance, in this scenario, I was able to actually just say, you know what, obviously I am not sure. It's not clear to me what colors I should choose. It's not clear to me if I should keep going with these colors or if I should just take a step back and wait. And so knowing that I didn't know what the answer was, I decided to pause. When I have that answer and when I can be more clear on that, I will know, and I will be able to feel so much better. And when I move forward, the energy I'm going to put into this and the approach I'm going to take is going to come from a place of feeling happy and excited about it and inspired by the colors. And that is what comes from that place of love. Honestly, I think that every topic can be categorized into one or the other. Another important thing that I like to keep in mind when I'm thinking about this love and fear idea is that we are magnets. We are a magnet attracting what we're putting out. What is at the root of how you're feeling and what your intentions are and what your energy is, because ultimately that's what you're getting back. So the more you can become conscious of the moments when it's rooted in fear, the more you can shift that into a place of love. I also just want to speak to any of you who may be experiencing some grief yourself. It is an experience that you really you can't prepare for. You just can't. And no matter what you've witnessed, it will teach you and it will open your mind. But when we lose somebody close to us, it's unlike anything you've experienced, and it's such a personal and intimate journey. And even when it's within your family, even though you have each other, it's still so personal to each individual. And one of the things that has really helped me in the last year, I have learned that although I love getting together with my family and having times where we are celebrating him, I also personally feel the most connected when I am having my own quiet time. That can be being down here in my basement working in my workshop. It can be working on a home project. It can be taking a walk without music, listening to songs that make me feel connected to him. And so whatever it looks like for you and whatever you need to do to honor you and the person you're grieving, make time for that and create your own rituals and sacred space for that. I mean, honestly, that is what has kept me going. And that's what's made me feel so connected. And it is because of my spiritual foundation and my beliefs in what happens after we die that has kept me going this last year and really allowed me to connect to moments that feel more joyful and happiness and really being able to enjoy memories and songs and moments. So I'm just sending a big hug to you if you are experiencing grief yourself. And as you go through this week, I hope that you remember to just recognize when you're falling into love or fear, because I do believe that we can make such an impact, each of us individually, on ourselves, our small communities, our larger communities, the world as a whole, when we are choosing love more than we are choosing fear. When you put that out, you get that back tenfold, and we need more of that right now. I hope that you have a wonderful week. I am rooting for you in whatever it is you're focused on right now, whatever you want to bring you joy. And I hope that you will join me in adding a lot more love to the world this week. I will talk to you next time. Bye.